Hey friends, long time. Let's just jump right into it. Today I am going to showcase my desk or office setup as it currently is, because within the next couple of weeks I will be transitioning to a whole new space in my basement, a brand new office that I was able to design and oversee with some help of some contractors. So very soon this video and this office will be obsolete. But aside from creating content for this channel and showing my desk setup, because in video production, us creatives, we really like to see how others work and their setups. For me personally, I just really like the idea of having this time capsule, a documentation of this space for which I've been working for the past 5 years. It hasn't always looked like this, but here it is in its last breath, because soon it will be a kid's bedroom. The first thing you might notice when you walked into this office previously was all of the screens. And as you can see here, I am missing a reference monitor that I used to use for editing and color grading, and I've since been producing a lot more and really just shooting more and editing a lot less. I've been outsourcing that quite a bit. So I took that monitor off the wall for a shoot about a month and a half ago, and I turned it into a field monitor or a client monitor for on set, and I didn't feel like putting the monitor back up for the sake of this video. So now we have an empty bracket, and B-roll will help cover and help you see what it used to look like. These screens are powered by 2 computers. More on the 2 computer setup later. But my main workhorse is a 2021 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max, a terabyte of internal storage, and 32 gigs of RAM. The computer hooks up to these screens via HDMI and USB-C. I chose this beast of a laptop over a desktop because I like to have a powerful computer that is mobile. I don't want to be tethered to this desk and this workspace to be only able to work here. I love to be able to work in bed with my wife as we're winding down for the night, down on my couch, or most importantly, be able to pack this computer up and use it on the road, at a coffee shop, on the airplane, wherever I might be. Here on the right of the MacBook Pro, I have a relatively cheap Mac Mini with the original M1 chip with modest specs, I would say. I purchased this computer as a backup because, as you know, with mobile computing, accidents happen, and if I lose the laptop, it's nice to be able to have a backup computer in a pinch. But what this computer most often does is a lot of the grunt work. After a big shoot, I will transfer clips from drives to this RAID hard drive, or archive projects when completed from working drives to solely storage drives, transcode clips, or even offload online content to an offsite editor. This computer is hardwired into the internet with an Ethernet cable. And so this computer isn't always busy, but when it is, it's sometimes doing the tasks that will take hours or days, and it's nice to still have the laptop free to be mobile. I can't do that if the laptop is doing these long-winded tasks, so that's where this Mac Mini really comes into play. Having 2 computers, initially switching between the setups, I had 2 separate mice and 2 separate keyboards. The space gray one went to the MacBook Pro. The white keyboard and mouse went to the Mac Mini. I am an Apple fan, and I love the way that these Magic Mice incorporate into the Apple ecosystem, so I swore by using these mice. But then the space gray mouse broke, so I branched out and I gave this Logictech MX3 mouse a chance. I don't think it's significantly better than the Magic Mouse. Both these mice have their pros and cons, but I do like the Logitech mouse a bit more. Especially being able to switch from one device, the MacBook Pro, to the Mac Mini by just pressing this button on the bottom of the mouse. And I still use 2 keyboards. I'll workshop a solution for that once I move into the new office. So the top monitor here that is missing in action is a calibrated color grading monitor from BenQ. It is perfectly calibrated at the factory to produce images and colors exactly how they would appear with a final export in a color space. However, I mean, like I said, I'm not editing nearly as much as years past. I'm producing so much more. What you can see below it is a Samsung widescreen monitor, And this is great for editing because it provides a great big workspace to utilize. But this monitor has its own contrast picture settings that are not perfectly calibrated like the color grading monitor. And these monitors worked really well together when I was editing a lot because you could see exactly the right color profile in the color grading monitor, and you had all the real estate you needed with the widescreen monitor. And then you can also see I have the 16-inch monitor from the laptop to utilize as well. Now on the right of the desk, I have a 16 terabyte RAID hard drive set up for RAID 1, where I keep all of my current projects backed up. This is where I store one of the copies of a project while we work on it until I ultimately archive the project after completion. So when my company is working on a project, we are using Samsung T5 or T7 drives to both record footage on Blackmagic cameras, and you can't use a T7. We use these to transfer onto the RAID hard drive, and in addition to be able to hand these out to editors within our network to help us with commercial projects. So everyone has their own system for labeling their hard drives. My system is actually to use Pokemon.
Go inside, Pikachu, please.
I label the drives with just a Pokemon sticker. I got a bunch of them on the internet. And then instead of saying like, well, this is drive 0024, I'll say,
is it because you don't like me?
All right, I'm giving you Pikachu, and Pikachu is here, and Zapdos is over here, and Mewtwo is there. And so it's a little easier to keep track of all these drives when you have them labeled. And so I just figured I could use this system. And so these are the archive drives that we use. And so once a drive is completed and we have all the project files from the editor,
all right, obviously we all want to die.
I take the projects off of our RAID and I put them onto these archive drives in which I have them mirrored. And so when I have these drives mirrored, I keep one in a fireproof safe and one in a separate location. So in case anything ever happens to one of the drives, we still have a backup. So one of the other fun things about these hard drives is when you plug them in, I changed all of their icons to little Pokemon PNGs. So when you plug them into the computer, you can see which Pokemon is plugged in at each time. And so since the 16 terabyte RAID drive was going to be plugged into one of these computers at all times, I thought I'd pick one of my favorite Pokemon, so I went with Alakazam. On top of Alakazam, you can see my AirPods Max, these ridiculously priced headphones that I made a video on. Check out that link up here. And my favorite character from Star Wars, Ahsoka Tano. And to the right of that, you can see a book on World War II because this time period fascinates me. My wife got me this book and it showcases all the just crazy battles from World War II. So I kind of like to be able to browse through that every now and then if I'm ever having a hard day. It's a good reminder that life used to be so much more difficult than the struggles that we can have in video production.
I'm not a Quaker.
Sitting in the desk in this seat, you cannot really see many of the wires, which is kind of important to my mental health. I mean, I'm kidding, but only kind of, because I'm kind of a minimalist. I'm not like all the way there, but I love just a clean look of a very well designed and well taken care of desk setup. So for my added element sign up top, that's my video production company, as well as the color grading monitor, I ran those cables through the wall, so you didn't see any cables hanging down. And the rest of the cables are tied up under here, under the desk, or tucked around back. Now this desk was a hand-me-down and I made it work for over 10 years. It's not bad for having paid $0, but in order to really hide the cables, I had to do a lot to make it work for me. And it's not a modern desk, but I've tried to make it work as best I can. Now as I move into the new office, it will feature a brand new modern standing desk, and I'm very excited to get that going. Out with the old and in with the new. One of the odd things you might see on my desk is this gadget from my good friend Mary Beth Romslow. She gave this to me after we completed a short film called Spark, and this film was ripe with many challenges. Our gaffer who owns the grip truck, his truck actually broke down. She gave this to me after the project wrapped. It's actually a piece from, it's like an internal component from a clock, and so it holds special sentimental value to me. I mean, I love it because it marks something of a personal accomplishment to be able to finish that project. So it sits on my desk as a reminder that you can really overcome a lot of obstacles, especially when I think back on that project. Within this desk, I have extra cables, drives, accessories. I have a MacBook Air that my wife uses in the drawers, as well as I have a file cabinet down here as well. So looking around my office, you can see some of my favorite movie posters on the walls, from V for Vendetta to Apollo 13, October Sky, It's a Wonderful Life, and then a documentary short film I produced early in my career. It's called Around with the Common Man. And with this documentary that I helped produce, I learned how to be frugal with budgeting, because we had a very limited budget and I had to stretch every single penny as far as we could. And so that was definitely an interesting learning experience for me and helped me grow into the producer that I am today. So I grew up playing video games and loving Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I have this one-up standing arcade cabinet, and it has 2 of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade games on it. This has lots of fun with the kids written all over it here. On the left, I have a lot of the actual game systems from my childhood, the originals, a Sega, an N64, and then my wife actually has a Super Nintendo, and these are actual consoles from our childhood, so they have significant value to us in that sense, but it's also fun to fire them up with the kids and play a little bit of Sonic or Toe Jam and Earl. So obviously LED lighting helps set the tone a bit. I have LED lighting in the TV cabinet, as well as roped around the back of this old desk. So as you can see here, I'm sitting in this kind of like Hoopdie breaking down chair. I got this chair about 10 years ago. I think I got it for like at Costco for like $100. I was super poor.
Help me, I'm poor.
But I needed a desk chair, so I invested a lot of money into a nice one. And as you can see, it's definitely worn down over time. It's kind of made out of this like pleather material. And as you sit in it, all these little black pieces kind of follow me around the house. And
Ew! Get off of me!
see these little black specks on the carpet and in the kitchen. And so this chair has seen its better days, but it's been with me on a big part of my growth in my journey. And so I'm grateful for this chair service. Thank you, chair.
Thank you, bank robber.
You can see the bulletin board behind me. I used to use that for project management. I used to write everything on post-it notes and put them up there, project deadlines and notes and inspirational quotes. And so since I have moved and migrated away from using that for project management, it really just has a bunch of, you know, lanyards from VIP, behind the scenes, backstage type things. You can see all those on the left, and then just a bunch of other knickknacks and memoirs from my days in video production, and then things like inspirational quotes just to be able to glance over and see those throughout the workday to kind of remind myself, give myself some perspective. And then around the office, I have some gear storage. I have my Pelican cases, which help me transport the cameras and lenses and audio equipment. And then a lot of the other additional, like bigger grip gear, like lights and stands, all of that is stored in the garage because it's a little bit easier to just leave that available down in a space where I can just transport it into the car as opposed to bringing it all the way back up to this office. And then this closet here is a mess right now because I had to clean up my shooting space in the basement so we could work on finishing this space. So I had to just shove a bunch of boxes and cases and such in there, which will eventually find a permanent home in my new basement office. So within the closet, you can see my overpriced college degree. Right below this original Ninja Turtles comic. Like I said, I love TMNT. As well, the photograph from Minneapolis and the cathedral in St. Paul. I took those photos. I was proud of them. It was when I got my 5D Mark III and just went around and took photographs and video of everything. And then as well as this moment from The Social Network.
This is our time!
As a small business owner, that resonated with me to grow beyond just being like a subcontractor or a grinder, to try and help grow a business, because this is my time. And so that's always been something I've looked at again. A lot of things around my office I like to have staged, just kind of help remind myself of maybe where I've come or where I'm aspiring to grow to. And so that moment in the movie is definitely something that resonated with me. Now, I would be lying if I said I thought any of you made it to the end, but like I said, personally for me, I will enjoy looking back on this video in 5, 10, 25 years to see this space as it was in 2022. I know when I see pictures of myself in my childhood back in my room, I love seeing all of the knickknacks that I had on my shelves or the posters that I had on my wall. It feels like almost jumping back in time, and I kind of feel like this video is a great time capsule and a great way for me to reflect on where I was at this stage in my career. But if you are watching, I appreciate greatly your time. So feel free to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you feel obliged. I mean, this channel is already bigger than Steven Glansberg's group of friends. Okay, it's not blowing up. There's still not a lot of people here, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, I just enjoy making content. So, until next time, from a new office, I love you, friends.